Hello, citizens of the world. In our previous video, we have discussed about penetration test, security audits, and its approaches. In this video, we will see what to plan before we examine any systems in organization and what things you should take care of. Now let's start our video. For penetration tester, planning is important before to examine any systems of organization. Planning for a penetration test involves several key steps, including: the first one is defining the scope. Defining scope involves identifying the specific systems and applications that will be tested, as well as the types of attacks that will be simulated. The second one is setting the objectives. Setting the objectives determines what the goals of the penetration test are, such as identifying vulnerabilities, testing response procedures, or assessing the effectiveness of security controls. The third one is selecting the testing methodology. This means choose the testing methodology that will be used, such as black box testing, white box testing, or gray box testing. The fourth one is identifying the testing team. This should be determined who will conduct the penetration test, which may include internal employees, external consultants, or a combination of both. The fifth one is obtaining permissions and authorizations. Obtain the necessary permissions and authorizations from management and system owners to conduct the penetration test. Because doing penetrating testing of any organization is illegal without any agreement between them. So taking permission from organization is must. The sixth one is preparing the testing environment. Set up the testing environment to simulate real-world conditions and ensure that the test does not cause any damage to production systems. Your system must be ready in action with tools up to update and other necessary things that are required. The next one is conducting the penetration test. Execute the penetration test according to the plan, using the selected methodology and testing tools. The next one is documenting and reporting. Document the findings and report them to the appropriate stakeholders, including management, IT staff, and security personnel. Documentations is very important after conducting penetration tests, so the owner of organization should know what tester had found any vulnerability regarding your organization and to fix them. The last one is remediating vulnerabilities. Work with the system owners and IT staff to remediate the vulnerabilities that were identified during the penetration test. And also write it in documentation for future record. This was all about planning that you should do before doing penetration testing. By doing proper planning process, organizations can conduct effective penetration tests that help identify vulnerabilities and improve the overall security posture. The next we will see the different phases of penetration testing. Penetration testing typically consists of several phases. The following are the different phases of a typical penetration testing process. The first one is planning. Planning involves defining the scope and objectives of the test, selecting the testing methodology, identifying the testing team, obtaining permissions and authorizations, and preparing the testing environment. The next one is reconnaissance. This phase involves gathering information about the target system or network, such as IP addresses, domain names, and system configurations. This information is used to identify potential vulnerabilities and attack vectors. The more you get information, the more it becomes easy to hack the target. The third one is scanning. In this phase, vulnerability scanners and other tools are used to identify vulnerabilities in the target system or network. This may involve both automated and manual testing methods. We already have pre-built tools in Kali Linux. But some tools are noisy and you will need to build your own tools according to your requirements. The next one is gaining access. In this phase, the testers attempt to exploit the vulnerabilities that were identified in the previous phase to gain unauthorized access to the system or network. The most used exploited framework is Metasploit. It has a bunch of exploits and you can also add new exploits to this framework which may not be present in it. The fifth one, maintaining access. Once access has been gained, the testers attempt to maintain access to the system or network by installing backdoors or other methods of persistent access. Backdoors are small malicious code that allows attacker to maintain interpreter sessions with target system to run the commands. The sixth one is analysis. In this phase, the testers analyze the results of the test to identify the vulnerabilities that were exploited and assess the impact of the attack. The last one is reporting. Finally, the testers prepare a detailed report that summarizes the findings of the test, identifies the vulnerabilities that were exploited, and provides recommendations for improving the security of the system or network. By following a structured process that includes these phases, organizations can gain valuable insights into the security of their systems and networks and take steps to remediate vulnerabilities before they can be exploited by real attackers. This was all for today's video. In the next video, we will see different types of network scanning and many more.